thinking about speaking up and thinking about this idea of honesty. What do you think about the role of honesty when it comes to building an equitable workplace? And recognizing, even within this question, and me asking this question as a white woman, there's some real difference in what honesty, how it impacts someone when they're showing up with honesty in a workplace.
Yeah, I have to be honest, this question really kind of threw me, because, like, so many times in a day or in difficult conversations, my heart wants to be really honest and transparent, and sometimes that doesn't serve really anybody, So I think but dishonesty also doesn't serve anybody. So there's got to be, like, sometimes you tell some of the truths, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, because Annie, to your point, like, when it comes to honesty, if I think in, like, our capitalist society, we live in the United States as the context. So honesty in the workplace looks very different depending on who's being honest, right? Mm-hmm. And what they're being honest about. Mm-hmm. I think it goes without saying that honesty is a key component of building trust with people. But depending on what you are being honest about or what truth you're wanting to speak power to, it can not be in the best interest, especially if you're a person of color, if you live in a marginalized body. But being able to own your truth, like, the further you get in your career, what I love to see is whenever I come across younger folks who, whether it's how they dress, whether it is, their body mods are showing, they have colorful, like, simple stuff like that, where I'm like, that to me is being honest, and they're living their lives, and that to me is the world that I want to live in. Like, the fact that when I got my first tattoo, and I was still, like, terrified to be like, oh, can I, and I work in the arts, like, and I would still get people who would be like, oh my God, can you have like when I got my nose piercing, or when I started to wear my hair natural, like, my family would ask me, like, really, are we doing this? And I was like, yes, like, this is who I am. But I also recognize that not everybody has that privilege, to speaking about personal truth, but I feel like there's a way to engender honesty and trust in the systems that uphold the workplaces that we live in, right? You can have honest and transparent systems. You can create processes that it's not secretive, right? It's not, if I think about the work that my company has been doing lately around just making the process for how do you get a raise? How do you, how does hiring work? Right? Like, there are definitely ways where you can have 100% bold-faced honesty and it work for everybody. But, to your point, Shannon, like, depending on where you are positioned and how much safety you have, your ability to exhibit personal honesty and living your truth may not be the same as everybody else.
Yeah. I have my nose pierced for, like, the last 15 years, but because of the field that I'm in, I can't. Right. Like, I don't get to show up as my full self very often in my professional setting. So, yeah, I definitely choose to hide a lot of that in this capitalist for-profit world that I work in on my 9 to 5.
Well, I appreciate so much the differentiation between personal honesty and, like, built-in systemic honesty, and both the role of sometimes the expectation for personal honesty at the expense of people in a workplace, right? I feel like sometimes that within equity, that gets convoluted to have that expectation maybe of everyone without recognizing, like you're saying, when there isn't safety, when there isn't personal safety, or like you're saying, Shannon, when there is not space within the industry yet for that to exist. But the systemic honesty, like, what does it mean to create an honest and transparent system or policy or decision-making process? And then as a leader, who's responsible for setting that up, right? That piece of honesty. I think I really appreciate that differentiation. That's really powerful.